Welcome aboard the BK Escape Pod. That's right, it's the augmented and bionic podcast version of the live show you can hear Saturdays from 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. Eastern on 100.3 FM and AM 1450 WBHF Radio. You can stream the show live there Saturdays at WBHFradio.org or on the free Tunein app. Look out, here we go. Oh, and by the way, if you hear me give out a telephone number, don't call because this is a rebroadcast, and our janitor Charlie will answer the phone, and believe me, you don't want to talk to him. He's an ornery little cuss.
Whenever I feel like a great tasting meal, I go back to Del Taco again. Hot stuff. There's only one place where you get so much taste, so I'm back in Del Taco again. Hot stuff. The way that they flavor, it's everyone's favorite, tangy, spicy blend. Del Taco's hot stuff, I just can't get enough, so I'm back in Del Taco again. Hot stuff.
What is that?
What a burp off the air. If I could have had that on, that would have peaked into the red here on the meter. That would have been low.
It wasn't as loud.
Slow.
It wasn't going to set a record.
Growling.
But it was a growl.
Not like the records we talked about last weekend about the decibel records of the burps. And I'm like, oh, my sister's got that beat. She could get that. She could do that.
Yeah, I told you, my youngest daughter, and she's the tiniest, littlest person in the world. Like, there's no way you can make that noise. Yeah, she can.
That's funny. Hey, it's BK on the air here on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF. As you hear our boring, goofy radio banter back and forth doing technical things
like
on
I'm
the
in
air.
A Goldilocks
That
story.
is horrible, isn't it? I mean, I can get away with it on my show. Well, broadcast professionals aren't supposed to be talking about stuff on the radio.
Too low,
the radio
little too high.
That's
Just right.
just right. So we got a lot coming up on the program today, including possibly a movie review by Alan J. Sanders.
No, not me.
Because
me in movies?
You finally caught up on a movie series or a trilogy, a part of the MCU that you finally watched, this past few days. You got to see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 finally. See, let me tell you something about last week. When we were talking about Paul Rubens passing away, Pee Wee Herman, last week, and I was talking about Pee Wee's big adventure and his career and what he'd been in, and Batman Returns, the Penguin's dad, and all that stuff. We're talking about it, and I'm just going on and on about it through a whole segment tribute about him, not knowing the whole time that you've never seen Pee Wee's Big Adventure. We found that out at the end when we were talking at the end of everything.
You were so excited, and
I know, and I'm like, and I had assumed, that you had seen that as a Tim Burton movie. Pee Wee Herman, everyone on the planet, I thought, has seen it. It's just one of those that you didn't get to watch yet. And I'm like, oh, okay, we might ought to watch that. That needs to be added to your movies I haven't seen but should list, I guess, that we made a couple of weeks ago.
I don't know if it would make that version of my list. I'll
put it on the list for you then, because you should see that movie. It's a classic comedy.
I never was interested in him as the actor. I never was interested in him as the character. I never was interested in him as a show. My kids were not of the right age to watch the
show. I never watched the show he had. So I never got to see that. But I think after you see it and find out maybe that you like it and thought it was really funny and great, I think you're going to be surprised if that's the case. I think that's
I will. You know what? I think you're right. I would be surprised.
Yep. and yeah.
I think I will be surprised.
So yeah, but you saw Guardians Volume 3. Did get caught up on that. You haven't seen Ant-Man Quantumania yet. And you're a pretty busy guy because you've got to temper between going between 4 or 5 different radio stations you work at, and then you're everyone thinks that they know who the mayor of Cartersville is, but it's really you. And you've got daughters, you got one getting married, you got all this busy life that you do. You got yard work, you got projects, you build stuff, you're looking for a cure for cancer in the basement. I know everything that you're doing, which is important that you do, and it takes a lot of your time.
The cancer stuff's not coming along like I wanted.
It takes a lot of your time. So, but you don't get to go to see the films often because of your busy schedule. But streaming, you got to see Guardians Volume 3. Mm-hmm. So later on today, when we got a little bit more time, we're going to delve into it and hear your thoughts.
Okay.
You and I have already talked about it, and I'm like, okay, good. He kind of lined up with me on it, which is good because I would have hated to have got the preliminary report from you today when I came in this morning and hear from you, oh, I didn't care for that. That's probably the worst Guardians Volume 3 movie I've ever seen. And if I'd heard that, I'm like, oh, what's going to make for a very tiresome show with talking with him about how good it is, and he's telling me how bad it is for the next 2 hours. That's not going to be fun. So that's not going to happen. That's a tease of what you thought coming up, which is good. I'm looking forward to that. So we're going to talk about that. And we'll hear from Pat McCormack and the Golden Age of TV today. He's going to talk about a crime drama series in the late 60s, early 70s called The Mod Squad.
I've heard of it.
They made a motion picture about it with Claire Danes, I think, back in the day.
Never watched it. No, don't know anything about it.
As a kid, I watched The Mod Squad. Come on. The title sequence was incredible, and the theme song, the theme music for it was incredible.
You'll have to play it.
They put out something on X the other day. Twitter, the former X, former Twitter. X is
it's
now
so hard
Twitter
to
X.
change it to X.
They were putting on there, what are some of the most iconic TV themes that you've heard? And it doesn't even have to be a show that you liked. If it had a great theme,
like Hawaii
tell me what it is.
5-0.
Okay, to me, Hawaii 5-0 was my number one choice. I'm like, man, that's
why we're on the show together.
That is if not the best. See, we won't argue about that. Thank goodness. That's one of the best themes ever written for a TV show, and they kept it for the new version on CBS that came out just a few years ago. It had a pretty good run.
It's almost like they went hand in hand. You can't watch Hawaii 5-0 without that open.
It had a great theme. You may have heard it and forgot it, but during Pat's Mod Squad segment coming up, I will play the Mod Squad theme. I'll go out on that when he's talking about it at the end, and we'll play it. It's a great theme. Again, some of the ones that are the singing ones that tell a story are great themes. Gilligan's Island's got a great theme at the beginning. It's just even if you hated the show, you heard or can probably sing the Gilligan's Island theme, or you know what it is when you hear it.
Yeah.
Magnum PI had a great theme.
Yes,
I mean, come on.
That's so funny because I was going to say, but sometimes, and thanks to your show, sometimes the original theme
for season one of Magnum
wasn't the theme that we now associate with the show.
They changed it, and they didn't even change composers. They went back to Mike Post
even
and
Gilligan's
Pete Carpenter.
Island, I thought, had different lyrics, or
it had different lyrics. It was the same song, same tune,
well, it
but
sounded
they
different.
changed singers. But it was the exact same words, except they took "and the rest" out and went on. So and I just want to make sure. This thing is working over here because we're at. It's not firing off. You might take a look at this and see what's going on over here because we're at 10:14.
Sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. So what's going? Sure. So I don't know what's going on with our system here. What's going on with our system?
I don't know.
Look at that! Isn't that great? In the old days, we used to run the station ourselves, but now we got computers running everything and an automatic thing, and I'm supposed to break at 10:14.
So it just went away.
I don't either. That's so weird.
Oh, look at that. I've got it right here. So let's do this.
He's going to fix this because it's always my show that all the Gremlins and the Twilight Zone stuff happens, and it all messes up. So yeah, you did fix it. See, you see, it all creeps in even when you're here too. Pat McCormack will be talking about the Mod Squad coming up today. Alan will review Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and I've got some news. Believe it or not, we're talking about comic book movies and stuff like that. But coming up, I've got some Wonder Woman stories, a Wonder Woman story coming up, which is great too because it was on again, it was off. Gal Gadot was told, you're going to have Wonder Woman 3 by James Gunn, but the producers said, hey, no, we haven't decided to do that yet. So I got that story coming up. So we got a little miscommunication with Wonder Woman.
Kind of sounds like how our government thinks today.
And
I'm giving you full authority and freedom to do whatever you want, as long as we tell you it's okay.
Right. Well, we got that coming up. I actually like the first Wonder Woman film. That's one of those rare DC movies that I really like, Yeah. I told him, I said, I can count. You mean you can count the DC movies you liked on one hand? I'm like, not even using all the fingers on one hand. I can count the DC comic of the current DC edition. Speaking on the air, we're going to take a break and reset everything when we come back. Call the repairman.
Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. The Mod Squad aired from 1968 to 73 for a total of 124 episodes. It followed the adventures of three young people who were recruited by the police to work undercover as good-looking, hip members of society, helping to solve crimes. The show was groundbreaking in its portrayal of youth culture and its integration and diversification of its main characters as equals. The Mod Squad was inspired by the real-life experiences of creator Bud Ruskin, who worked as a juvenile probation officer in Los Angeles. He believed that young people who were given a second chance could become valuable members of society. The series was also notable for its use of contemporary music and fashion. The characters' outfits and hairstyles were trend-setting, and the show occasionally featured the popular music of the time. There you go, Miami Vice. The show's main cast included Michael Cole as the smooth-talking Pete Cochran, Peggy Lipton as the cool and collected Julie Barnes, and Clarence Williams III as the streetwise and equally cool Link Hayes. The three main characters were actually in their 20s at the time of filming, which helped make them relatable to the show's target audience. But despite its popularity, the Mod Squad was not without controversy. Some critics argued that it glamorized drug use and counterculture. Of course, the years that it was on were some of the most controversial in our nation's history. Overall, the Mod Squad reflected the changing attitudes of the late 60s and early 70s, and its legacy can still be felt in modern crime dramas that feature diverse casts and tackle ongoing social issues. This is Pat McCormack with your Retro TV trivia from the Golden Rage of TV. Be sure to check out my podcast, Retro TV Radio, available on most popular podcast platforms. And now back to BK on the air.
Let's close out there his Golden Rage of TV segment about the Mod Squad with the fantastic Mod Squad theme. Great theme to an interesting show that I never got to watch.
I forgot the name of that little suitcase-style organ that was really popular.
Yeah. Hey, close up. You got the organ with you? Yeah, it's in the suitcase.
Yeah, hold on. Just let me prop it up. You got something I can put it on?
Boy, they were fascinated with that instrument for a long time, weren't they? Yeah.
Oh, the Doors used it incessantly with their
and
music.
Actually, Boston used the organ a lot in the
mid-70s.
An
organ. I don't know if they were using the same little. I forgot what they called
the mini suitcase, or we'll just call it the mini suitcase organ.
It's got a name,
That's
and
great.
I used to know what they called it.
The Mod Squad came on, and as a kid, I watched the title sequence because it was cool. It was intriguing. It had them running down under this bridge and this alley and stuff, and they were zooming in with them, the camera, and with this music. And then when it was over, I'm like, oh, okay, time to turn it. I did that as a lot of kids because that show did not appeal to me at the age I was. Now it's like Hawaii Five-0, another great music themed show. I'd watch that as a kid. Big giant wave, the theme would play. But once the title sequence was over, my dad's going to watch it. I left and went and played toys. Now some shows I'd watch, but later on I started discovering, wow, the Hawaii Five-0, the original series, is a great show. I started watching it on Pluto, and I'm like, this show is like violent and raw and entertaining, and a lot of great stories, a lot of guest stars back then. I saw Eric Estrada as a bad guy holding someone at gunpoint. A lot of younger actors before he went on to be Chips. Before he went on to be a cop, he was in the cop show as one of the criminals. So you get to see a lot of people in these shows that went on to be bigger stars. So we talked before the break. Talk about reviewing and talking about stuff. Well, you laughing at.
I got a joke that Pat McCormack sent me.
Pat will text you, but he won't text me
because you're busy. He knows you're hosting.
That's right.
He knows I'm just sitting here doing nothing.
He's nice and courteous to me. He won't send me anything.
He doesn't want to ruin the show. He wants to ruin my concentration.
No, I do that. I ruin the show. Leave that all up to me. What did Pat text you?
It's the whole thing about roses and tulips and which do you prefer on your piano, That's about as much as I can say.
Roses and yeah, okay, I got it. Yeah, all right. Yeah. You can't tell the rest of it?
No. Okay. I'll have to tell you off air.
You're gonna tease me
I can't
on the
believe
air.
You don't know about roses and tulips on the piano.
Well, you'll have to feel me. Hey, I'm pretty obtuse.
You like
sometimes.
roses on your organ? No.
Oh, okay. All right.
I prefer a different flower.
Just explain it to me.
I will have to. Apparently, I will.
Because apparently, when I'm on the air live and I'm talking,
but I'm not going to use pictures.
There's a mental block when I'm on the air that I can't get things when people are talking about them. So 770-386-1450 is our number.
Next week.
If you want to check in, tell me off the air. Oh, somebody's checking in right now. Hey, it's BK on there. Hello.
Hello, it's Chance in Atlanta. What's going on?
Nothing. Just doing messing around on the radio.
I got to do a quick correction. I hate to do this to you.
No, you don't.
But I know you'll want to know. The theme to Mod Squad was not Lalo Schifrin.
Oh, wait,
it was
who wrote
Earl Hagen.
Earl, yeah, he did the Andy Griffith Show. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Chance, I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, right. So I did get it wrong. I hate it when I get it wrong, but I do get it wrong sometimes. Well, hey, Lalo Schifrin and Earl Hagen, they looked alike, so that's why I.
Hey, it all sounds the same to me.
They looked alike. That's why I messed up. They looked alike, but I don't want to shortchange Earl Hagen. He was a great music composer, and so was Lalo Schifrin. So, I wouldn't have made that mistake probably 5 years ago. I'm noticing those Alzheimer's type things creeping in with me when I make a mistake or something. I think it was last week. I'm like, yeah, that was 1983. We're celebrating the 50th anniversary. I'm like, that was 40 years ago. Because I switched from 73 to 83 because one is 40 years ago, one is 50. And then I kind of talk about, because it's an even number of years ago, it's a milestone, and sometimes I mix those two up. Isn't it okay? I need to. I can say strike that and reverse it, can't I? Won't that fix everything?
Yeah,
if I do that.
It's a good. I hate it. I hate because the stuff that's 40 years ago in no way feels like it was 40 years. For some reason, the stuff that's 50 years ago, I'm like, oh, yeah, that was about 50 years ago.
Some of it.
Suddenly you go, well, this was 40. I'm like, no, it wasn't. And you're like, yes,
right.
It was.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't.
No.
If I can make a mistake. Mistakes are part of my show.
And then you tell me another movie is 30 years. I'm like, no. No.
Yeah. Well, okay, since you brought it up.
Well, don't put it on me.
Actually,
you
I'll
did it
say,
to me during the
that
week.
I have something special I want to talk about that. But a movie is celebrating its 30th year anniversary.
You gave me a Fred
this
Sanford
month.
moment during Bartow's Morning News this week.
The other show that you
hit
host,
me, I'm like,
yes.
wait. I was like, I looked at it, I was like, no.
Yeah.
No, he's just.
No.
Oh. And then I felt the
movie's 30 years old.
tightening
Yeah.
around my
I'll
chest.
talk about that later in the program. There's a movie celebrating its 30th anniversary with a re-release in the theater. There's only one drawback to it. I'll have that coming up later on the show today. But let's get to this before we fly to the audience. You saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Mm-hmm. Thank goodness you finally saw it, because I couldn't talk about it in depth with you. And I loved how you were, and we may have to roll it over and talk about it later, too. We may have run out of time before the bottom of the hour. But I remember how you're like, yeah, Guardians 3. Yeah, I can't wait to go see everybody die. And I'm sitting there just biting my tongue saying, just wait. Just see it. Okay, I can't say anything.
Everyone does die, just not the people I thought.
But you... No, you thought the main guys were gonna, and so did I. I sat there in the theater when the credits came up and it was coming on, showed the Marvel logo, came up, it's coming, and I'm like, I better prepare myself because this is going to be bad.
It honestly thought
depressingly bad, but for different reasons.
I honestly thought with the trailer and just the little hints and the fact that they said, well, this is going to be it, and James Gunn was leaving, there's not going to be another
his last movie with him.
I'm like, the best way to end this, even though it be on a downer, is Star-Lord has to sacrifice himself. Like, that's what's got to happen.
Right.
And I fully expected that to happen.
Even in the trailer, they cut to Rocket saying, we'll all be together in the big, beautiful sky. And I'm like, what could that mean? Does that mean they're going to die? And when you see him say that in the movie, it's totally different context. They cut it in a great way, but you did like it though.
Yes,
was
very
great.
much so.
It was very good, and we'll talk about
it
more.
And in fact,
later.
I still think number 1 is the best. 2 and 3 are pretty much neck and neck. I don't know. I don't know.
And good.
Yeah, they're both good.
Yeah,
and I don't know. The flaw I have with 3 is it's a small thing. It's just it's a subplot that lasted about 10 minutes that I think you didn't need.
Right.
It didn't hurt, but I don't think you learned anything. And I think in some ways it kind of made me go, okay, can we go? Let's get back to the other part of the story. But beyond that, I liked it just as much as I liked 2.
And with me, I kind of think that 1 and 2 are neck and neck, and the third one is the one that's not as great as the first 2. Because I try my best to find something that I did not really like about Guardians Volume 2. And I'm like, I can't really find the way I pointed out things in 3 that I didn't like the subplot and that maybe did this or whatever. But in 2, I'm like, this is probably on par with the first one. I can't find, because Kurt Russell's performance, Ego, the whole thing with Star-Lord, the family, who was my dad, and all that stuff. It was just done
the idea of
wonderfully.
Sisters who.
Right.
The whole sibling rivalry, but it resolves missing fathers, doing the things that we take for granted in the audience, like playing catch.
Yep.
All of that.
David Hasselhoff. Yeah, I mean, Guardians Volume 2.
Hasselhoff.
And the fact that it was filmed right here, all around us. So thumbs up, thumbs down, Volume 3, thumbs up, right?
Yeah, 2 thumbs up.
1 through 10, what would you give it?
A solid 7.5.
7.5. It's BK on the air.
Now I'm standing. You all happy? We're all standing up now. Bunch of jackasses standing in a circle.
We'll return after these messages.
Came to this little place. Waiter says, try this. You'll like it. What's this? Try it, you'll like it. But what is try it, you'll like it? So I tried it. Thought I was gonna die. Took 2 Alka-Seltzer.
Alka-Seltzer neutralizes all the acid your stomach has churned out. For your upset stomach and headache, take Alka-Seltzer and feel better fast.
Alka-Seltzer works. Try it, you'll like it.
Hey, Melissa, you're not going to believe this. My music is on cable TV. It's on VH1. Video Hits 1.
Small Boots. Hot news. My music's on VH1.
Hey, Stevie, I'm so excited. My music's on the very hot one, VH1.
I just called to say.
My music's on the hot one, the very hot one, VH1. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on cable TV.
Hello, Mr. Cable Operator.
We want our music.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF. The conversation continues even when the mics are off and we're on a break, but you can't hear that. Maybe you can hear it on a podcast or something. I'll sneak some of it in, but we wouldn't last long on the air, I don't think. By the way, you were talking about great fast food chains of the South on the news this week, and I loved. Every one of you guys thought of one that I'd never heard of. Do you remember the one I'm talking about? You and Mike Garcia were talking about one.
Something like biscuits or something.
And I'm like, I'd never heard of that one either. I'm like, where is that one? So it must not be in my area growing up.
Apparently it started they're mostly in Virginia, in West Virginia.
Yeah.
But
and what was number one on the list? Do you remember?
That was the number one.
What was number two? Name another one that was on the list.
Number two, I thought was
Bojangles was on there, right?
Bojangles was number 5,
which is great. I love Bojangles.
I'd have to pull the list up. I shared it on Twitter.
But they were so you started listing them, and all I wanted to do when you were talking about all of them was like, oh, I need to get a spicy chicken filet biscuit from Bojangles today.
I love the Cajun.
I'm like, that is so.
The one that
good.
wasn't on there that I think should have been is I don't know why Martin's Biscuits wasn't on there. You've got this other place that you've never heard of.
Their biscuits are phenomenal.
Martin's is
and
fabulous.
They're here in Cartersville too. Their biscuits are cat head size. Now I don't know why they call them that. Some cats' heads aren't as big as the others, but I'm like, they're the big succulent biscuits with you, and it's one of the rare places now that you can still get country ham, meaning that big thick slice of ham that's salty and it got a little bit of fat on the edge.
Oh, yeah.
Not that some people offer you a ham biscuit and they put deli ham on it from the deli. I'm like, that
no.
doesn't work.
No,
stop. You're going to revoke
wrong,
your license.
sir. Wrong.
Revoke your license for that. Calling that ham on a ham biscuit. To the thing, so
I can't even. Where'd you go? Where are you? Hello.
There it is.
There.
It's time that we flash the audience. Everything's messed up over here. It's like when people come in and change and they straighten my desk up. I'm like, don't straighten my desk.
I know, but you can't find anything. No, now I can't find
anything because you did it.
All right, well, guess what, folks? I've got the first news.
You do?
Yes, I do. A Major League Soccer game in Utah was postponed due to rain, but members of the media still managed to catch some action when a raccoon fell through the ceiling and into the press box. The league's cup round of 32 games in Real Salt Lake and Club Leon was postponed due to Thursday night's rain, and the same rain likely caused a raccoon to seek shelter and ended up falling through the ceiling of America First Field's press box. Caleb Turner of KSL TV captured video of the raccoon wandering around inside the box before it was ejected. Real Salt Lake spokesperson Delmy Barrios tweeted that the raccoon was rounded up by stadium staff and released into a nearby creek.
And the whole time I'm seeing that story, adding it to the list last night, I'm thinking after it's all said and done, they're leading him out, and he turns around and he goes, okay, I'll buy a ticket. I was just trying to sneak in.
Yeah.
in what's his name's voice that does it? Bradley Cooper. It's Rocket. Trying to sneak in. I just wanted to see the game.
That's a fake laugh. It's a real laugh.
I just wanted to see the game. Hey, I got the next news. From UPI, a martial artist from India recaptured a Guinness World Record from his longtime rival by smashing 273 walnuts with his forehead in 1 minute.
Wow.
Okay, I thought about this for a second, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound... I'm like, wait a minute, it's walnuts. You ever tried to crack a walnut? A one that's still in the shell? One time I had to drive a car over it to crack it. Those are some of the hardest ones to crack without a nutcracker of some kind. and this guy used his head. Naveen Kumar, 27, used his forehead to smash the raw common walnuts, breaking the record of 254 set by record serial breaker Mohammed Rashid in 2017. Now, Rashid first held the record with 150 walnuts in 2014. This guy's the walnut breaking king of Guinness. I mean, come on. The two men went head-to-head in a Guinness World Record challenge on an Italian TV special later the same year, with Kumar breaking 239 walnuts and Rashid taking the record back with 254. Now, these people that do things with their head like that, that's not good, because if you talk to ex-boxers and people that do things like that and don't take care of their head, because there's something inside your head that's kind of important to your existence. It's called your brain. Your
I've
brain
seen
is
today
in
most
there.
people don't use it anyway.
Well, that's true. If you don't use it, then you can crack as many walnuts with it as you want. That's totally fine.
All right, I got the next news.
I mean, I won't say anything about me on this show. My brain, but yeah.
The Illinois State Fair unveiled one of the annual event's most beloved and unusual perennial attractions, an 800-pound cow sculpted from butter. That's a lot of butter.
Yeah. This sounds weird, though, when you
This
say
year's
it.
unveiling ceremony featured Pritzker using a squeegee to wipe the condensation off the cow's glass case. The current iteration of the butter cow depicts the bovine being milked by Illinois dairy farmer Laura Lee Schultz from Mill R. Moore Dairy in Orangeville. A second sculpture in the same case shows Schultz's granddaughter Lucy taking care of a calf. The 2023 butter cow was sculpted by artist Sarah Pratt.
See, the whole term, the whole sentence, butter cow being milked, I'm like, that just, I can't.
It just feels
I
like
don't
a
even
waste
get
of
that.
good butter.
I just, well, that too.
It belongs on my steak and my bread.
Along with, how about just not ever
my
saying
baked
it?
potato.
Don't ever use that phrase again around me. A butter cow. Okay, it's a butter cow. I got the next news. You like Subway? You ever go to Subway and get some?
I do like Subway.
Subway is going to name the winner of its latest Free Subs for Life contest later this month, and the winner will be named Subway. This is from Newser. Let me explain. The name change challenge, which closed August the 4th, offered free sandwiches for life in the form of $50,000 gift cards in return for the contestants promising to legally change their name to Subway. Now, this comes from Forbes and Newser. Subway says it received almost 10,000 entries in the 96 hour in the 96 hour the online competition was open. A winner will be selected randomly from USA Today on USA Today. The winner will also receive $750 to cover the cost of changing their name, too. That's in addition to the $50,000 in gift cards for free Subway. The company says it held the contest to celebrate a menu revamp that includes freshly sliced meats. I thought they always had freshly sliced meats. Okay. Quote, Subway brand love and dedication runs deep, especially when free sandwiches are up for grabs, unquote, the company said in a press release. In 2022, one superfan camped out for 2 days to get a foot-long tattoo of the Subway series logo in exchange for free Subway for life. So that's what he did to get his free Subway.
You know, I like Subway. I don't see myself tattooing just to get free Subway
Not
for
even
life.
for a $50,000 gift card for free Subway food for the rest of your life?
Well, but you have to use it at Subway.
That's right. I guess that's the catch.
You can't use it somewhere else.
And could I legally change my name back later?
I was wondering that. I was like, well, you know, I'll
And how often can you change your name before they go, you've done it too? This is a safety thing and flights, and you can't change
I don't
your
know,
name.
as long as you get a court to
you got
agree.
a criminal record that we can't have people do that. You
Look,
know?
I want to have an AKA, also known as.
Because you joked about our news guy here, Mike Garcia, about how not having a middle name. When he goes to the airport and they're like, what's your middle name? He doesn't have one.
Right.
That flags him
Yeah,
sometimes.
Yeah,
So-
he's a frequent frisker of
He's a
Department of Homeland
frequent
Security.
flagger.
He's frequently frisked. Sir, can we get you to step over here?
And strip.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm so used to it now.
Mike, if you're going to the airport, shave and get a haircut. Otherwise, you look like a terrorist.
Or when you're in line, go ahead and take half your clothes off already because you'll be ahead of the time. Ahead of the game. Guess I better take my
Why
pants
are
and
you
shirt
getting a
off.
breath mint? I'm about to be frisked. I'm going to make it a date.
Make it a date. All right, we're gonna cut off your last news flash here because I don't think we're gonna have time.
Are you
before
sure?
the,
well, let's try. We got.
try to sneak it in.
I can do it. Let's do it now. I got the last news Newsflash. A 4-year-old girl in Michigan was injured Friday night in a bizarre incident involving a golf cart and a dog.
What?
The incident happened at Blues Brews and Barbecue in Westland, Michigan, a 35-minute drive just west of Detroit. Westland Fire and Rescue said the department's arson dog, Bella, was sitting on the seat of a golf cart being used for the event. At some point, the dog jumped onto the floor and laid across the accelerator pedal, causing the cart to lunge forward. Firefighters tried to steer the cart away before hitting anyone. Before the firefighters could bring the cart to a full stop, the golf cart hit a 4-year-old girl on the passenger side. Front tire ran over the girl's leg. Westland Fire and Rescue, thankfully they were already there. Paramedics immediately rushed the child for assessed for injuries. The girl was visibly shaken but otherwise had no injuries, said fire officials. The girl's mother refused further treatment or transport to the ER.
And the dog was thinking, that's for all of my brothers that you have run over with cars.
Oh.
That's us getting you back.
Well, I'm glad the girl was okay, and thankfully paramedics were right there on scene.
And we're glad the dog wasn't charged.
Oh, that's not the dog's fault. Should have not put the key in.
Sue the golf cart manufacturer.
I can't believe I ate that whole thing.
You ate it, Ralph.
I can't believe I ate that whole thing.
No, Ralph, I ate it.
I can't believe I ate that whole thing.
Take 2 Alka-Seltzer.
Alka-Seltzer neutralizes all the acid your stomach has churned out. For your upset stomach and headache, take Alka-Seltzer and feel better fast.
Did you drink your Alka-Seltzer?
The whole thing.
Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Almond Joy's got nuts, Mounds don't. Almond Joy's got real milk chocolate, coconut and munchy nuts too. Mounds got deep dark chocolate and chewy coconut. Ooh. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Peter Paul, Almond Joy's got nuts, Peter Paul, Mounds don't. Because sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't.
All that is visible must grow beyond itself and extend into the realm of the invisible.
What? What? Oh, Mr. DNA, where did you come from? From your blood. Just one drop of your blood contains billions of strands of DNA, the building blocks of life. A DNA strand, like me, is a blueprint for building a living thing. And sometimes animals that went extinct millions of years ago, like dinosaurs, left their blueprints behind for us to find. We just had to know where to look. 100 million years ago, there were mosquitoes, just like today. And just like today, they fed on the blood of animals, even dinosaurs. Sometimes, after biting a dinosaur, the mosquito would land on the branch of a tree and get stuck in the sap. After a long time, the tree sap would get hard and become fossilized, just like a dinosaur bone, preserving the mosquito inside. This fossilized tree sap, which we call amber, waited for millions of years with the mosquito inside, until Jurassic Park scientists came along. Using sophisticated techniques, they extract the preserved blood from the mosquito and, bingo, dino DNA. A full DNA strand contains 3 billion genetic codes. If we looked at screens like these once a second for 8 hours a day,
that's why exactly. That explains the whole film there from Mr. DNA from Jurassic Park. I play that because I kind of gave Alan a mini heart attack this week because I let him know
it's coming back. I'm feeling.
Right, take it easy. It should be.
What do they call that? They call it angina when it's just unknown heart pains.
You think it's heartburn, but it's not. You should be an easier blow now because you know it now. It should be a little easier to digest. Jurassic Park, 30 years old now. The 30th anniversary of Jurassic Park, which was released in theaters 30 years ago. But I'll just do the story here from slashfilm.com because there's an aspect of this that I don't like. The studios were obsessed with releasing everything in 3D. Remember back when that was happening?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and they still do it from time to time. Even some big blockbusters from the past were treated to 3D conversions, and one of them is making a comeback in theaters for a milestone anniversary. Yeah, Jurassic Park is going to be coming back, but in 3D. Universal Pictures is celebrating what's almost the best way possible, putting it back in theaters. I agree with that part, but not in 3D because I'm not a big fan of that. One night only. Jurassic Park is returning for a 30th anniversary screening in Real D 3D. It's that Real D 3D thing that's different from the red and green.
Oh, they haven't done the
glasses
red
thing.
and the blue in a long time.
Tickets are now on sale for the screening happening on Friday, August the 25th at various evening showtimes in theater chains across the country. So check the local ones or check the ticket places where you buy tickets. It should pop up somewhere for you to get one. There's only one showing, so if you miss it, you'll miss it in the theater. And you and I both like going to see movies that are old in the theater for their anniversary sometimes. It's just kind of fun to see them in their original way they're supposed to be seen, especially the older ones. Because, man, seeing Jaws up on the big screen, I was seeing it again like I'd never seen it. I saw Jaws at the Fox Theater in Atlanta once in an October screening, and I was seeing detailed in the background in Brody's kitchen. I was seeing like utensils hanging on the wall that you can't see on a TV screen. It's just bigger and in your face. You can see it all when it's blown up really big. So there you go. There's some news for you about Jurassic Park. Even though it's in 3D, it says you can't go wrong seeing Jurassic Park in the theaters. It'll still blow your mind the way it did before. I guess so, but just I have no interest in seeing it in 3D. So I wish they gave you the option. That would be great.
I mean, I guess it makes sense. You look back, it revolutionized films, but think about it, 30 years ago.
Jurassic Park, 30 years ago. That one really hurts because that one really, I mean, we talk about things in 83 coming out that were 40 years ago, and we're like, yeah, that doesn't seem 40, but sometimes maybe it does a little bit, you know. But 30 years ago really does not seem like it was 30 because that's just, I mean, I still consider Jurassic Park new.
Do you realize
sort
if
of.
we were Michael J. Fox, we'd be going back to watch Jurassic Park if we had to go back 30 years?
Yeah. yeah.
Doesn't seem like
we already did the Back to the Future thing. If Back to the Future was filmed today, what year would they go back to?
They'd have to go back more than 30
to match the years they went back in the film, which was what, from 84 to
it was
50?
85 to 55.
85 to 55.
Right.
So that seemed like a long time before 85.
It was.
Yeah.
Everything changed.
So if we did it today, 2003, we'd go back to
2023.
2023, we'd go back to
1993.
1993. Which just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't feel.
It doesn't make sense to me.
It wouldn't work. If you did a movie now, it wouldn't work.
770-386. Oh, they hung up. Sorry. Somebody was calling. Call back. Sorry. I was going to take your call, but you hung up on me. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago. I mean, when Back to the Future came out, my parents saw it, and I saw it because, we saw it.
Yeah.
And
turn it on, even if you're not going to. That way they can hear us.
Oh, okay.
Because if it's off, they can't hear us.
And I was like, hey, that seemed like a long time ago, and it did. Even my parents goes, yeah, 85 back to 55. Yeah, we remember how it was in 55. Now we can talk about that.
Yeah, but let's get to the caller, and then I'll say things are not that different like they were from 55 to 85.
Isn't that weird? We did have a lot of progression from 55 to 85. We really did. Hey, it's BK on the air. Hello, somebody's on the line. Hello.
Hey, it's Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
I just wanted to tell you that I was 7 years old when Jurassic Park came out. It was my favorite movie, R-rated movie I got to see in theaters as a kid.
Oh, it wasn't R-rated.
No,
it was PG-13.
It was PG-13, yeah.
Oh, was it PG-13?
Yes.
I thought it was. Okay. Well,
no, it was an R.
Yeah.
Well, I'm mistaken, but.
And you were how old when it came out?
I was 7.
Okay, thanks for that. Bye, Chris. No, I'm kidding.
All right.
Just kidding. I'm joking.
I will tell you.
I'm just joking.
It's great. It's my daughter, Lexi, who's getting married in a couple of months. It's her all-time favorite film.
You told me that it was her Star Wars.
It's her Star Wars,
yeah.
right.
When we say that phrase, we know what we're talking about.
For her, like, if it comes on, she'll just watch it.
Did you?
Such a big dinosaur fan that and I just loved the Velociraptors, so they were always my favorite.
So, Chris, did you enjoy the subsequent sequels and stuff in Jurassic World? You were a fan of the whole franchise. Did you stick with it?
Yeah, I think the Lost World was a little weird.
It was the weaker one out of a lot of them. That's for sure for me.
Yeah, but I liked all of them. I thought they were all great.
Yeah, I mean it's a great franchise and it grew and kept going and it's some kids. And you were a kid when it came out. It's some kids.
Yes, he was.
And some of us are still kids at heart. So it's a lot of kids back then or adults today. It's their favorite franchise of movies, and I can see that. I can see why.
Yep,
it's groundbreaking in a lot of ways.
It was definitely a big hit. And then I'm a huge Toronto Raptors fan because they came out with that team because of Jurassic Park.
Yeah, and you have your own few Jurassic pals at your house, which is great.
He's got some of their ancestors
that are related to them. Yeah.
Yeah, sure do.
That's great. Well, thanks for calling, Chris. I'm always glad you're out there and you're always coming by to wave at us. That's why we're live on the air, buddy. I appreciate it.
All righty.
See you, man.
All right, see you.
Talk to you later. Bye. Yeah, and he's I always tell him that he's Godzilla. Come on. Yeah, so he's next one he gets, he's got to at least name one of his pets Godzilla.
I want him to get like a chameleon next.
A chameleon.
Yes.
A chameleon.
He's got the bearded dragons, which are really cool. But I actually would think it'd be cool to have a chameleon.
Aren't chameleons the ones that move really slow and have the two eyeballs that go different ways? Isn't that cool that they can look at two different things at once?
Or are those iguanas?
No,
I think the chameleons.
Yeah, they're chameleons. Yeah,
but they can also change their colors. They can kind of merge the colors.
They hold the bug out in front of them, and all of a sudden you see their head, and they'll zero in on it and target it like a predator in the movie Predator, and the tongue goes wow and got one shot.
Good.
I'd love to be able to do that at a restaurant.
Wait a minute.
That would be so funny. Just out of the blue, all of a sudden both my eyes zoom in like, a roll.
You want to be Jar Jar Binks, huh?
A roll. No, well, if you're with me, you'll be like Qui-Gon. Stop doing that. I told you. We stop doing that.
Stop doing that. We're civilized at this table.
I'll grab this CGI tongue from the CGI character and make it look realistic. So that's great. So Jurassic Park. It took me, I think, the second time to see Jurassic Park to really get into it and like it. The first time I saw it, I'm like, well, it's cool when the dinosaurs are on the screen, but I don't know. And I saw it again, I'm like, okay, yeah, I think I was too much in awe of the effects when I saw it the first time. Because when you see something for the first time and it's groundbreaking and you've never seen it before, you're a little distracted by the awesomeness of it all. It's like Star Wars. No one knew what to think when they first saw it. They're like, what is
the scene
is this?
For me? And it still holds up. Like as old as the technology is and groundbreaking. When we pull back to the long shot and there's the brontosauruses in the lake and they're all milling around. It's not even just the brontosaurus by himself. Like, that's amazing.
When he turns her head around and she comes up and he takes the sunglasses off.
The long shot of all of them moving like a herd and you see them in the water and like they're reflecting and the sun.
And the flying birds and stuff. Yeah.
Like, it looks like they're there. And I remember being in the theater going, how did they do this?
Wow.
How in the world did they do this?
And that blew me away, but the scene seller for me watching Jurassic Park was the first appearance of the T-Rex attack at night on the Jeeps. When I saw that, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. You can't tell me that thing is not real.
What they should have learned, and we had to watch filmmakers go too far the other way. The reason that works still to this day is it's a mix of CGI and practical.
Sure. They had a giant full-size T-Rex built by Stan Winston Studios, and let's face it, that guy's work. He was the man when it comes to practical effects.
His studio still is.
Yeah, and his school that he's got a school, and when it would interact with the actors on set, even the kid says we were scared of the real one because it was actually there and it had teeth and stuff, and we know they were controlling it. And sometimes you see footage of it, of the bloopers of it jumping and getting wet,
too heavy.
And there was rain on the set too, and Spielberg goes, "Here I go, dealing with water, messing up my effects."
Well, thankfully
like
he was indoors; he could control that. But
that was great. So,
that's amazing. The story about the T-Rex. They could only shoot for periods at a time because they didn't think about the foam.
Yeah.
Would soak up the water, and because the electronics, the hydraulics inside were so attuned, when it got too heavy, it started shaking, looking like it had palsy or something.
Right. This T-Rex is sick.
Yeah, so they had to stop filming and dry it so they could start up again.
Watch it. When the head comes close to Sam Neill, where he's holding the little boy to keep him from making a sound, and the T-Rex's face comes right up to them and supposedly blows air through its nostril and blows his hat off. That's the real one right there on the set. That's right by their face.
How fast it moves when it's looking by the window and then snaps to
and looks at her. That's
awesome.
On the set. So
it's all
a good
stuff.
mixture. When you mix them together, it works when you do it well.
It becomes nearly seamless.
Practical stuff. So yeah, I mean, I'm practical. I'm a practical effect. You think about it.
Are you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's some argument at home. She's listening. It's speaking on there. I'll be back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Nutty gritty, it's a snack you can munch. Nutty gritty, a healthy snack you can crunch. You take a bunch of nuts, any kind will do. Throw in a bunch of raisins too. Then invite a bunch of nuts to share with you your nutty gritty,
Do something good for your bod and brush your teeth after snap. Join the bod squad. Join the bod squad. Come on, kids, get your sweaters. Let's go. Bye, Mom.
Hot water wash. Okay. Cold water wash. Pretty clean.
Aw, they didn't look that good. When can I stop kidding myself?
Right now. Out of the future comes all-temperature cheer with the all-temperature clean.
Must have powerful ingredients.
Certainly they're powerful. To give you the best-looking wash your world has seen in hot water, warm, cool, cold, and everything in between.
Terrific. Now that's white.
Cheer gives you a great-looking white in hot water.
And in cold water, that's clean.
Cheer beats even the leading cold water detergent.
Wait till you see my kids tomorrow.
I'll be watching. All-temperature cheer.
Boy, is this stuff clean and at all those temperatures. All temperature.
Now back to the show.
Oh, yeah.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. till noon, AM 1450 and 100.3 FM, WBHF. Don't ever let anybody ever tell you that AM radio is irrelevant anymore. They were just talking about it on Capitol Hill not too long ago, and some vehicles were manufacturers are thinking about yanking AM radios out of cars and not even putting them in there and stuff. But we're still around AM. We're FM. We stream. We have a website. We have apps. There's ways to hear us, but we're still on the radio, too. I think radio, and Alan will agree with me, I think radio is always going to be there because we're going to have to fill that void when maybe some other things aren't there. You're able to access the other things for some whatever reason. Who knows why? And we went over it a lot. But on this day in history, let's talk about a little history today. August the 12th is today on this day in history. And I have a thing that I want to cue up here because this was made on this day in history. Take a listen to this. In 1877, this happened.
The first words I spoke in the original phonograph. A little piece of practical poetry. Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go.
So there you go, right there. On this day in history, 1877, to his amazement, Thomas Edison records himself reciting Mary Had a Little Lamb on his just completed cylinder phonograph, a device that recorded sound onto tin-foil cylinders. 1877 on this day. That's pretty relevant to anything that we do in this business or anything else today. That right there is a great date to observe.
Just think of the inventors always amaze me. Somebody just said, how do I put sound onto a physical object
How do I
play
capture
it back?
sound? I mean, before it's ever been done, how would you ever even start to do that?
You think, you're just you can't capture
what are you, a
sound.
magician or something? What are you talking about?
What kind of voodoo magic do you
devil
think you
worshiper? What are
possess?
you talking? Are you a witch? What's going on? What kind of wizardry is
What
that?
dark sorcery is this?
But he did it, and thank goodness Thomas Edison did. If you ever get a chance, I may let you borrow it, but Thomas Edison directed the first silent picture version of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And I've got a VHS copy of it off of a copy from somewhere. I don't know if it's officially ever been released on DVD or Blu-ray, but it's not great, but it's chilling to watch the effects that he tried to do.
Didn't he do like reverse film for the monster forming or something?
Yeah, he filmed the monster upside down and set it on fire on the set, and I think he replayed it right side up so it looked like it was taking shape. Hey, what else could he have done back then? He didn't have a special effects crew. He was the special effects
the
crew.
innovative mind of thinking, you know what? I can put the film backwards and upside down, and when I play it right side up and forward.
And you know, showing stuff backwards was used in theaters all the way up into the 80s. They would use things backwards to make it look weird or right or different. They still do that. I think they probably still do that in some things. Today in 1908, Henry Ford. Talk about our Savoy Auto Museum over here. Today in 1908, Henry Ford's company builds the first Model T car on this day in history. So there's two corporate technology things in a row that happened on this day in history. Today on this day in history, in 1927, the movie Wings premiered, silent movie about World War I, and it was the first film to ever win an Academy Award for Best Picture. The first film to ever win an Academy Award was Wings. And I saw Wings once, and it's actually a really good movie with Clara Bow. It's a very good and well-done World War I movie. It's a silent movie. If you don't like silent movies, don't watch it. I know some people don't, and I don't know why they have a problem with that. But yeah, if you ever get a chance to see Wings, give it a try. Another movie is making its 50-year anniversary. That's right. 50 years ago, this premiered in theaters.
It's a matter of life. It's a matter of death. It's a matter of a beautiful Italian spy, 7 killers, a voodoo witch doctor, a living corpse, a gorgeous double agent, 12 cars, 5 planes, 10 acres of land, a wedding reception, a double-decker bus, a fleet of speedboats, a sea of crocodiles, the beautiful sorceress named Solitaire, the man with the steel arm, and a retired Navy LST. All against one man.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
Roger Moore is James Bond 007. In Ian Fleming's Live and Let Die, 007 is on a worldwide manhunt, and the body count is going up. It's livelier, it's deadlier. It's Roger Moore as James Bond 007 in Live and Let Die. From United Artists, rated PG, parental guidance suggested. Live and Let Die.
That's right. 50 years ago in theaters. So, today in history.
I know it's not the same, but how ironic we bring up Wings, the movie.
Weird? That's funny. Yeah.
But it was actually Paul McCartney's Wings that did that
Paul
James
McCartney
Bond
Wings,
theme.
Yeah, and that's the first film I ever saw in a theater with my parents. I was in the back seat. We went to the drive-in.
Drive-in,
yeah.
right?
And I was paying attention to some of the voodoo stuff. Scared me, and the flaming skull and the title sequence really scared me. But I remember being a kid standing in the back seat, watching, eating popcorn, entertaining myself during the other scenes, the boring spy scenes where they're just talking. And I do remember that we did see that on the way home. And on the way home, I was scared the skull was going to chase us in the dark coming home. So that was great. 1976, on this day in history, August the 12th, the first approach and landing test, an ALT test, of the Space Shuttle Orbiter Enterprise was on this day in history in 1976. And how funny that the very next year, on August the 12th, the Enterprise made its first atmospheric test flight. That was the first one. If that one didn't work, then they wouldn't have had a space shuttle. They would have had to start over or
Back
something.
to the drawing board.
And part of me always wanted them to have named the first shuttle that went into space Enterprise. That means the Enterprise would have gone into space. But no, actually, the Enterprise that tested the orbiter, that one was the groundbreaking one. So they named it after a letter-writing campaign from Star Trek fans. They were going to call it something else, and then they're like, no, call it the Enterprise. That'd be the thing to call it. And then they changed the name due to a letter-writing campaign. That's the legend. That's the story, and I'll stick with the legend.
And even if it's not
story.
true, it sounds good.
It sounds cool, so I tend to believe it. Only 1983, we got two movie premieres 40 years ago, which is 1983. This movie premiered. Yeah, Lindsey Buckingham, fresh off of Fleetwood Mac there, recording Holiday Road, the theme to National Lampoon's Vacation, which premiered 40 years ago today. Funny movie, still funny to this day. Every time Vacation's on, I'll watch it and laugh.
This is one thing that's going to make the audience go, what? Best part about that movie is the theme song.
It's a good theme song.
I love
but
that song.
I thought it was great. Yeah.
I love it.
And,
it's a good movie. It's not my favorite.
Something else premiered on this day in history. We were minding on our own business, going to see Superman 3, Return of the Jedi, all these movies coming out in 1983. And all of a sudden, this thing called Smokey and the Bandit Part 3 was released. And I was excited, went to see it, and I'm like...
You're not playing the trailer?
Wow. No, why would I?
You don't want to go reminisce about why it's such a
play
great...
the original trailer. It was originally going to be called Smokey is the Bandit. Jackie Gleason was going to play both parts. And when they had test screenings of that, the people hated it so much that they went in another direction. I don't know. Maybe it might have been better to do that.
We'll return after these messages.
Ever watch kids play with Weebles? It's really something. Hey, hey, look at me and Weeble. Me and Weeble go all around. One day, kids pretend they're flying into Weeble Airport. Next day, they play around the Weeble Cottage. Or if it's real nice, they go out to the Weeble Marina and go fishing. Hey, hey, look at me and Weeble. The Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. Romperoo makes Weeble toys.
back. It's BK on the air here. We'll continue the On This Day in History and get into some birthdays and what national day it is. 1983, 40 years ago. Let's delve into the TV shows. What was the number one television show in 1983, Alan, in
Cheers?
August of 83? No, not Cheers. It's one that was number one for a while, and the number two, I'll tell you what number two was, because they're separated by just points of like rating points. Dallas was the number one show with a 25.7 market share of viewers, which it was number one for a while, but it would battle this other show for the number one spot for years.
Dynasty.
And that was 60 Minutes.
Oh.
60 Minutes.
It's like,
Both on CBS. Dallas had a 25.7 share at the time, and 60 Minutes had 24.2 share for the number two spot. I'm like, you might as well just call that a tie almost for the number one spot. Birthdays today include actress Jane Wyatt. You remember Jane Wyatt from Father Knows the Best? She also played Spock's mother in Star Trek in the original series and in Star Trek 4 and Voyage Home. She was Spock's mother. She was the one that he told his dad at the end, "Tell Mother I feel fine." Because she was always wondering, because she was a human married to Sarek. Today is Alvis Owen's birthday today. Alvis Owen, you might remember him as Buck Owens from Hee Haw. Country singer, country kind of comedian too on Hee Haw. He died in 2006. Dwight Yoakam idolized Buck Rogers. And if you listen to Dwight's music, you can tell he influenced him a lot. They became friends. Wouldn't it be great to love someone growing up and idolize them and go into the same field and then become friends with who you idolized? Because your music is good too, and they consider you a good music performer as well, and become friends with your idol. I think that would be kind of good and bad in certain ways, because you're like, wow, I know my idol now, and he's not really he's like a jerk or something. If he's a jerk,
never know how that's going to be,
because they're a real person. Today's birthday, George Hamilton's birthday. Actor, Love at First Bite, Zorro the Gay Blade. He was in so many movies, which usually were comedies. He did some serious stuff.
Like
back
the
in
joke
day,
is always like he was always tan.
He was, man, and it looked like he paid for the tan somewhere. Now, he did play Hank Williams in a movie called The Hank Williams Story, a TV movie about Hank Williams. And I understand it's a pretty good movie. Today is Mark Knopfler's birthday. You know who Mark Knopfler is.
Oh, yeah, guitarist from Dire Straits.
Dire Straits, guitarist, songwriter, singer from...
He also... Didn't he do the soundtrack to The Princess Bride?
I think he did, yeah. I think
Princess
for
Bride.
Rob
Mark
Reiner. Director Rob Reiner had him do that. He also had an idol that he grew up and got to know. He played guitar in the style of Chet Atkins. You've heard of the classical guitarists from the 50s, Chet Atkins, that did like that real like picky guitar sound. Mm-hmm. Well, Mark was a fan of his, and I think became friends with him before he passed away. And I got to get this ready, because also it's another actor's birthday today. Today is Sam J. Jones's birthday. That's right, Flash Gordon himself. His real name is Samuel Gerald, but his birthday is today. He played Flash Gordon in 1980. He also played in a very short-lived television fire engine television show called Code Red on ABC. It was like a fall replacement show, and it didn't last. I always loved getting those fall issues of TV Guide where it shows all the new shows coming up in the fall, and you try to pick out, okay, that one's going to make it, that one's going to flop, that one's going to make it. Oh, I'm going to check that out. Oh, I'll check that one out. That looks kind of cool. So I remember seeing Code Red in that one TV Guide growing up. Sometimes my better half, Stacy, goes, how do you remember all these things? How do you remember what theater you were in when you saw every film that you saw? I'm like, it's just a thing that was important to me. I don't know why. It's just certain things I still remember. She goes, you come up with stuff sometimes that I think I remember, but there's no way I'd remember it until you bring it up. I'm like, it's just because it was stuck in my head. I babysat it. The television and the movies babysat me after school every day growing up, because my mom was I was a latchkey kid. My mom, single mom, and went to work. So my sister and I were left to fend for ourselves, albeit in the house locked up, for security's sakes.
We're still alive.
We still made it. We made it.
Apparently, kids can be resilient when given things to do.
We're alive and well. Well, I'm alive. I don't know how well I'm doing. I'd
argue mentally we're both very well.
Hey, you and I.
We're in a good place.
We're the wrong
mentally.
ones to ask, though.
Right.
Ask that of other people.
We're happy people.
It's always National Something Day, and today is no different. Today is National Bowling Day. And I love to bowl. I love to go down to Lake Point and bowl down there. There's a new bowling technology. I don't know how new it is, but it's new to me. I go down to bowl down there, and I notice how are the pins being they're on strings. And I'm like, I've never seen that before. Use just the big metal thing that will reset the pins and stuff. And I know it's got to be more expensive. But these bowling pins are set up on these little string holders. I don't know if they're made out of cloth or vinyl or whatever, or fishing line. But they all put them right back up, and they're on little strings and stuff. I'm like, it works.
It is pretty crazy.
And I bet it's cheaper to do it that way with the mechanics and whatnot. I'm a pretty good bowler. I'm not on league level, but I can bowl fairly well. I can't do the what's the split? The two split.
No, the 7-10
I can't do the 7. I usually get one of them. I can't get that one right on the edge where it kicks right over to the other side.
That's the one time I can go straight down the middle like I'm hitting a field goal.
You can get a field goal.
Every time I've got a split.
And when you do that in bowling, they yell field goal.
They should.
It makes you feel good.
Even when it's like the 4-6 split, whatever.
No splits.
I'm like, how does the ball get right between the two?
And
hit one.
Some people that bowl break the laws of physics, because I see some people go up there in the alley. They got their ball in the hand, and they go up and they roll it and they turn it, and it goes completely in a curve. And I'm like, how do you? I've tried to do that, and it's wound up in the next lane.
So,
I can't do that.
I can tell you for a fact, my brother was into bowling for a while. He's like, the only way you will ever bowl a perfect game is you cannot be a straight bowler. You have to be a curve bowler. Because the energy coming in from the side, if you can get that,
I believe that,
you'll get a better chance of knocking all the pins down. So
yeah, that's fine.
I'm a straight bowler too. Every time I've tried to get the curve, it's like it goes straight into the gut.
Yeah, but I don't do too bad. It's just picking up the spares is where I have a problem. And today, by the way, is National Vinyl Record Day. It's not Record Store Day, but today is National Vinyl Record Day. It's a different day. So if you have a local store that sells vinyl, like we do here in Carsville, Rock and Shop, who's a great advertising partner with us here, and they're a fantastic Eddie Bruce down there. Go see him. He's got the name of a superhero. I love the name Eddie Bruce. You want to get back into vinyl, into records, you could do it because there's a lot of places that still sell them. Used. Sometimes there's new vinyl that's released, as we're well aware when he has those new record shop days.
It's crazy
when they come out. Well, speaking of records and vinyl records, do I have? Oh, let's do this because I don't have time to get into the next thing I want to talk about. Andy Travis, the character on WKRP that Gary Sandy plays, the guy that moves into the station, changes the format, makes it become a rock station. He was awarded something in the city of Cincinnati that has something to do with radio, and I got that story coming up. But I want to get you ever heard of the website Mental Floss?
Yes.
mentalfloss.com. They have an amazing fact generator. And I thought I would
generator.
It's a different fact. When you click it, every time it'll give you a new fact that's completely true, but you may or may not have known it. It's kind of like Newsflash, but these are a little different because I didn't know any of these, and they're pretty quick. Mental Floss Amazing Fact Generator. In 1998, a study by the Smell and Taste Treatment Research Foundation, I didn't even know there was one, the scent women found the most arousing was Good and Plenty candy mixed with cucumber and lavender. Those are the three smells that, for some reason, some women found the most arousing and exciting. Was those scents?
We'll put that to the test.
I don't know if you mix them together. I don't think it's saying mix them all together. It's just saying those individual smells. I'm like, oh, okay, Good and Plenty candy mixed with cucumber and lavender.
So cucumber, lavender, and licorice.
Right, but I don't know what the scent of it is. It could be different flavors in there or something. The only reason I know about Good and Plenty, we would use Good and Plenty when I did a stage play. We'd use the white ones for someone taking a pill on stage. The Good and Plenty white ones look like a pill.
So the Good and Plenty for me were the ones that were the last candies in the bag, and they usually got thrown away.
I don't want to, or any licorice with me because I don't like saltwater taffy, licorice, or any of that. I didn't get into that.
I like the red licorice, not the black. Black, that taste of like, I don't know, death.
Is that what it tastes like?
It tastes bad. I don't like licorice at all.
My better half loves the candy called Dots.
Yeah, I don't mind Dots.
But she likes that kind of stuff, gummy stuff, and I don't like it. But she will not eat the green Dots because she doesn't like how they taste. The green ones she leaves them behind or gives them to our son. So the green Dots she don't.
Give it to the dog.
Yeah.
Here you go. You want this?
I don't even think Pippa will eat them. Don't give the dog. Don't give them to the dog. Another Mental Floss amazing fact: in 1907. An ad campaign for Kellogg's Corn Flakes offered a free sample of cereal to any customer who would wink at their grocer.
Ad campaign.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I think the grocer had always sent another message to him as well, which was great. Oh, yeah, I can get her number.
Sure. We'll do breakfast.
And another Mental Floss fact generator. In 1967, the Outer Space Treaty that was signed forbids any nation from trying to own the moon. That was one of the stipulations. I didn't know that we all signed a 1967 Outer Space Treaty. That was just one of the agreements.
Still, there's one country's flag up there.
Yeah, that's right. And several meteor
Do you have a
poles.
flag?
Here's another one. Mental floss fact generator. The annual number of worldwide shark bites is 10 times less than the number of people bitten by other people in New York. Somehow
That's
I can believe that.
crazy.
I can believe that. I can believe that.
Oh, yeah, shark
and
attacks
yeah, they're
are
worried
so
about
rare.
sharks, you know. You're worried about sharks.
Shark attacks so rare, but the difference is if somebody bites you, you're probably not going to die.
Well, that's true. And if it's a teeny tiny shark, maybe you're not going to die. But I don't even want a small shark to bite me because I'm going to start bleeding pretty bad probably.
Well, that's what brings the other sharks in and go, what's going on over here?
Yeah, well, at that time we went to...
hey, you didn't tell us you were having a barbecue.
We went to... I think it would be sushi. It would be raw sushi, I think. We were at Orange Beach, Alabama once, and we're sitting there and we're like, what is that swimming out there? Is that a fish? And I got like knee high and I'm looking and I'm like, that's a baby shark. And he's about...
Baby shark.
He's about 12 inches long, just swimming around. Yeah. And he's swimming around like he owns the place. He can't do anything.
Kind of like what they do?
Yeah, like he owns the place. He's swimming around, and I'm like, okay. And everybody's freaking out. I'm like, it's a baby shark.
I love sharks.
And then I started thinking, where's his mom? Is she around? I don't know if she's around or not. And here's one for one we just had. We just had a story about Thomas Edison. I played the first recording that he made of him saying Mary Had a Little Lamb on the recording for the first time. Thomas Edison nicknamed two of his kids Dot and Dash after the Morse code signals. That was the names, first names of his kids. Hey, Dash, Dot, get in here. And
funny.
Dot went, beep, and Dash went, dee. Hey, Dad. See, that's what you get when you listen to us every morning. This kind of stuff. Speaking there, we're just having fun. I'm on the story about Gary Sandy and WKRP from Cincinnati when we come back. Speaking on there.
New from K-Tel Records, 22 explosive hits, 22 original stars, gallery.
Oh, it's so nice to be with you.
The great Sammy Davis Jr.
Oh, the Candyman can.
Olivia Newton-John.
If not for you.
Hamilton, Joe, Frank, and Reynolds.
Don't pour your love out on me.
Derek and the Dominoes' big hit, Layla. Osmonds, Detroit Emeralds, Millie Jackson, Flash, April Wine, Charlotte's, Pop Tops, Fortune.
Here comes that rainy day feeling again.
Joe Simon.
You got power in your kiss.
Lobo.
Possible man.
Hot Butters, Popcorn. And many more. Get K-Tel's 22 explosive hits now. 22 original stars and one great stereo LP. Only $3.99.
Ooh, I love this song. What was that?
It's Out of the Blue, the ELO album.
Electric Light Orchestra on Jet Records and Tapes. Distributed by CBS Records.
America is on the go from Maine to the Grand Canyon with a portable radio as a traveling companion. America is on the go, Detroit to San Diego with a portable radio, a toteable, packable, portable radio.
This was about a place, an art form as far as I'm concerned, because I've always been enamored by radio. And here was a script that did all three for me. I love music. I was enamored of radio. And I like to think I'm an actor. And I get to do all three? Give me a break. This was great. So when I read that script, I really wanted this part.
Yeah, hey, we're back. It's BK on the air. I got a story here from RadioLink.com about Andy Travis.
The new program director.
But kickbacks are wrong.
Oh, Charlie, sorry, I got a meeting. We'll talk later. If you last that long.
Nice fellow.
One of the best. Would you like to see the big guy?
The big guy.
The skipper? The chief? The head honcho? The jerk who runs this place?
Yes, would. He was the guy, a whiz kid guy from New Mexico, Santa Fe, New Mexico, supposedly, who comes into radio stations, turns them around, and moves on. That's what he does. So I thought, well, to be the straight man is pretty good, because I had done a lot of soap operas where I was the heavies. I was always the bad guy. As a matter of fact, Charters, Hugh Wilson's wife, said, "You can't hire that guy. He's out of his mind." So I always played the heavies, So here I was going to get a chance on my first sitcom to play the straight man.
I know that I can turn this station around.
Turn it around?
Make money.
Well, in that case, Andrew, you've got a free hand from here on out, for the time being.
That's good. Where's Norris?
Out that door, down the hall to your left. Think you're going to like it? Hey, one more thing.
Yes, sir.
These changes, they wouldn't necessitate the playing of rock and roll music, would they?
Possibly.
The through line for the Travis character was he was a whiz kid that comes in and turns stations around and leaves. This time, not only can he not turn it around in a timely fashion, but something happens where he falls in love with the people.
That's right, and that's exactly what happened on WKRP in Cincinnati. One of my favorite sitcoms of all time.
I was gonna say, it's not a soap opera.
And I loved it, but RadioInc.com has this story. It's a show that many in the industry know and love. In September of 1978, WKRP made its debut, telling the story of underdog AM station. Features everyone's dream program director, Andy Travis, played by Gary Sandy, who you heard there in the soundbite. The show not only proved popular with the American public, it provided one of the most enduring television episodes of all time and inspired many to enter the radio profession. The episodes they're talking about is Turkeys Away, obviously, the Thanksgiving episode, which actually happened. Hugh Wilson's passed. He remembers a radio station doing that back in the day. And now Andy's returning to Cincinnati, Andy as in Gary Sandy, for the Radio Masters Sales Summit, where Radio Inc. will present Gary Sandy with the first ever Radio Wayne Influencer Award in person. Born in Dayton, Ohio, Gary Sandy attended Wilmington College of Ohio and the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City. He began his acting career in daytime drama, as you heard, soap operas he talked about, on As the World Turns, Another World, Somerset, and The Secret Storm. I've heard of every one of those soaps except Somerset. I don't think I've ever heard of that one, so a lot of them came and went. Before and after his work on WKRP in Cincinnati, Gary Sandy performed in countless film and TV productions. He has performed in over 100 theatrical productions, taking roles such as the Pirate King in the Broadway production of The Pirates of Penzance, Mortimer in the Broadway revival of Arsenic and Old Lace, Sheriff Ed Earl Dodd in the national tour of the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. So that was made into a movie. Burt Reynolds, you remember that? Opposite Anne Margaret. Harold Hill in The Music Man, Billy Flynn in Chicago, Elliot Garfield in The Goodbye Girl, Will in the Will Rogers Follies, and Kowalski in the A Streetcar Named Desire. So Gary Sandy's been pretty busy on Broadway since he left WKRP in Cincinnati. He's still being, you may have not even seen him on the TV screen as much, but he's still working as an actor and a singer too as well. I hate people that are the triple threats. They can dance, sing, and act at the same time. I do well just to try to act or be on the radio, but if you can sing well and act and dance all at the same time on stage, isn't that just great that people can do that?
Well, you've got a lot more opportunities for work.
I'd love to see us try to do it. If you made a parody of people trying to do it, we could do that.
I can do the Mel Brooks version.
We could do the Mel Brooks version for sure. Radio Inc. President Publisher Deborah Parenti said, quote, "We are especially excited and proud to present this award to Gary Sandy. His portrayal of the much beloved Andy Travis brought to life a character who inspired many to join the radio profession, including me. I'm one of those people. And his ongoing career in both stage and screen roles beyond that memorable show have only continued to provide inspiration and admiration through his multifaceted talents." I'm actually I started about a week ago trying to get a correspondence for maybe getting Gary Sandy on the show to interview him. That would be kind of cool. He's just one of those guys that I like, and I wouldn't mind having him on the show. Sometimes I have people on from time to time, as we well know. So bravo, Gary Sandy, getting that award, and I think it's long overdue, him getting recognized for that, because I loved WKRP in Cincinnati. I thought it was funny, and some shows from the old days don't hold up as well as they do today, comedies and dramas and stuff, and some still hold up perfectly, and WKRP is one of them. I went through a lot of legal problems with all the music that was played in the show, and they couldn't release it on home video, and they had to replace the music, take it out and stuff. You know how music rights are.
Yeah.
We know how every time we edit a podcast, we're reminded how music rights work
Some
and don't work.
Are a little more stringent than others.
I wanted to do this last week, but I didn't have time. But we'll be coming up through a break, but we'll do it in both segments and keep going. This is another thing from mentalfloss.com. You know, when things come out, they assign a name to something, but it doesn't always stick, or they change the name to something else. This is called Strange Early Names of 11 Common Products. This is from Jake Rosen. Branding is everything. It's why we refer to most tissues as Kleenex, even though we might be picking up a box of Puffs, and why we call a duplicate of something a Xerox, even if it hasn't come out of that company's copy machine. I remember that very well.
Right.
My grandparents used to call every refrigerator a Frigidaire growing up, because that's the one they always had, was that one, even though it might have been an Amana or a Maytag or another kind.
We call it by the name brand.
Those two, Band-Aid, same thing.
Band-Aid.
Those two products may have gotten their name, all those products may have gotten their name on the first try, but not all companies are so lucky. Here, let's take a look at a few popular brands that started out with far less effective labels. Now, what I'm going to do with Alan is I'm going to give you the original name of something, and that's all I'm going to do, and you can try to tell me what you think it went on to be.
Okay.
Some of these are a little obvious. Some of them, not so much, and you'll be surprised. And I did pretty interesting on this. It's not really a quiz, but that's how I'm going to play it out. First one up. It was a thing that came out called Fruit Smack. That was its original. That was its original name, Fruit Smack, MSSMACK, Smack, Fruit Smack. What do you think Fruit Smack went on to be, just from the name only? And you're not expected to get all this right, because I didn't.
Something like a fruit roll-up.
A fruit roll-up. In the 20th century, Edward Perkins owned a successful family mail-order business. As with Tupperware and Avon models, Perkins enlisted regional sales representatives to peddle his products, which range from home goods to food flavorings. One popular item was Fruit Smack, a highly concentrated juice that came in 4-ounce corked bottles and could be mixed with a pitcher of water. Owing to shipping hassles, the glass bottle would sometimes break or leak, so Perkins came up with a powdered version of it. With the change from liquid to solid came a name change as well, a very cool change.
Bowling sure makes me hot and thirsty. This is a job for Kool-Aid. Hey, Kool-Aid!
Oh yeah, Kool-Aid's here, bringing you fun. Kool-Aid's got thirst on the run. Get a big, wide, happy ear to ear. Kool-Aid smile, 'cause the biggest smile is a Kool-Aid smile. A Kool-Aid smile, a Kool-Aid smile.
Your friend's cool.
My friend's Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid brand soft drink.
Was introduced in 6 flavors: raspberry, cherry, grape, lemon, orange, and root beer in 1928. The current spelling, the way they spell it, they used to spell it ADE, aid. Now it's AID, I think. The current spelling was introduced in 1934. They changed how they spelled it. So there you go. There's your first one. That's how this is going to work.
Kool-Aid.
So here we go.
That's bananas.
Okay, the next one's a little bit, this one's a little sketchy. This is a little funny. The original name of this thing was Pleasure Pit.
Oh, stripper pole.
Pleasure Pit. That's a really good guess, but that's incorrect.
No. Oh.
Oh, yeah, Pleasure Pits. Okay, so it's not sure. It's easy to understand how a more luxurious bed was conceived at the height of the sexual revolution in the 1960s. The San Francisco State University graduate student Charlie Hall created the waterbed, a fluid-filled membrane that replaced a foam mattress in a design class in 1968. Contrary to popular assumption, though, Hall wasn't much of a hippie. He just wanted to make a more comfortable bed. The name he chose, however, was tawdry. Hall called it the Pleasure Pit, but the subsequent knockoffs came to be known as waterbeds. Even the more innocuous name was still paired with the lurid advertising you can only imagine. One salesman told clients that the gratifying motion of the bed creates the impression of a third warm body is participating. So there you go. Pleasure Pit became waterbed. Pleasure Pit just turned into actually what it was. Let's just call it waterbed. That's what it is. Let's just call it that.
Right.
So there you go. That's how this
That's
little,
way too obvious.
That's how this little goofball thing is going to go. We're going to take a break, and I got
can't
about
wait.
4 or 5 more of these, which is very interesting. You're going to know a couple of them. One from just, you know it anyway, I know. And one of them just from the name of it, you're like, oh, that translates into what it really was. So we're going to have more of these things that started out as one thing and wound up something else. And as we're ticking up to the end of the program here, and you want to chime in, too, as we're rolling along, 770-386-1450. When we come back, you can give me a call, too. It's BK on the air. We'll be back.
You've got it, mister.
Why are women so happy about new Tickle antiperspirant? Is it because Tickle is the first roll-on with a big, wide ball? Is it because Tickle has a new, quick-drying formula? Or is it because Tickle helps keep you dry all day? Make yourself happy. Staying drier is nicer with a little Tickle.
What rolls downstairs, a boner in pairs, rolls over your neighbor's dog? What's great for a snack and fits on your back? It's log, log, log. It's log, log. It's big, it's heavy, it's wood. It's log, log. It's better than bad, it's good. Everyone wants a log. You're gonna love it, log. Come on and get your log. Everyone needs a log.
Log from Blammo.
Now back to the show.
Oh, yeah.
We're doing names of things that change later on. I was presenting the name to Alan. He's kind of trying to guess what it is, and then I tell him what the real thing was. Our next item up for bids here that changed its name later. You should get this one. It was originally called Cheerios. Cheerios.
Oh, just Cheerios.
This breakfast table staple was introduced in 1941 after food science innovator Lester Borchardt developed a way to puff up oats into the familiar O shape. For the first 4 years, the cereal was called Cheery Oats to emphasize its whole grain origins, and manufacturer General Mills even shipped the toasted oats to servicemen at the time using the slogan, "He's feeling his Cheerios." This is what it said. But Quaker Oats wasn't having it. They didn't want that. They believed that they had the corner on oats in the processed food market. Rather than engage in a lengthy legal battle, General Mills shortened the name to Cheerios in 1945. So just 4 years later.
I love Cheerios.
There you go.
I still to this day.
I do too, yeah. And I like the Honey Nut Cheerios, just in any form. They're really good. The mixed kind, peanut butter, or anyway. The next item, when this thing first came out, this item, it was called Wonder Jelly. Wonder Jelly.
Wonder Jelly.
While visiting, you got to guess on that one before we tell you what it is? Easy now. Steady.
Well,
Steady.
can we go to the pleasure pit?
Steady. No, we can't go back
Different
to
kind
that.
of jelly. I'm going to
Steady
say
now.
Wonder Jelly was like, I don't know, Welch's grape jelly.
Okay. While visiting Titusville, Pennsylvania in 1859, chemist Robert Cheeseborough became intrigued by the fact that the petroleum oil drillers were smearing the jelly-like residue of the drilling process over their burned or irritated skin. Sensing he had the next great home care product, he spent years developing a patent purification process to sell the petroleum goop commercially. In 1890, the product debuted under the name Wonder Jelly.
It's the Wonder Jelly, Vaseline Petroleum Jelly.
It's a Wonder Jelly. As a lip shiner, leather refiner, in a first aid kit, it conditions the mitt. It's a Wonder Jelly. Like a dry skin cream, a foot softening dream. Takes out squeaks, waterproofs little cheeks. It's a Wonder Jelly. As a makeup remover, a chapped hand soother, it's 100% pure. Vaseline Petroleum Jelly.
The Wonder Jelly. Let it work wonders for you.
Now, Cheeseborough traveled around New York demonstrating the product's effectiveness by burning his skin with an open flame or acid and then soothing it with his concoction. That's dedication to your product right there.
That's belief
Oh, my
in it,
goodness.
man, yes.
While this undoubtedly made a name for Cheeseborough, it may not have had the same effect on his creation. He changed the name to Vaseline, reportedly combining the German word for water, Wasser, and Greek word for oil, Oleon, and registered it in 1872.
Vaseline.
So there you go.
Wow.
Next up, this name didn't change. This name changed, but it remained the original name in another country. Do you remember what was first called Puckman? Puckman. Puckman. Puck. Puck.
Yeah, it's Pac-Man.
Exactly right. At the height of the coin-operated arcade machine mania in 1980, which you and I were a part of, Japanese video game manufacturer Namco dropped a bombshell release. Their Pac-Man, which let players control a sentient yellow circle that gobbled up power pellets and ghosts, we were all there, was a national phenomenon. But in Japan, it was known by another name. Creator Toru Iwatani dubbed the game Puckman.
Puckman.
Yes. I can understand why they changed it, because kids could have a field day with that over here in school and say it. That could really
act like a hockey
modify
player and get the puck out of here.
Modify that. Accounts vary as to why he chose this name, but it may have had something to do with the protagonist's puck-shaped appearance. He looked like a hockey puck, sort of, that had
I
a
thought he
bite
was based
taken
off
out
of
him.
a pizza.
Or it's what I thought he was, or reference to the Japanese word paku, meaning chomp. Could have been that. When Namco prepared the game for an American release, however, marketers worried that some teenagers, might change the P in Puckman to another letter, so they wisely opted for Pac-Man instead. See, that's what I believe is it was that.
Just the facts, man.
Yeah. All right, next up. I didn't get this one either, but the original name of this item was called Baby Gaze. Baby G-I-Y-G-A-Y-S. Baby Gaze.
Baby gaze.
Any guess in the world what that might be? We're running out of time here. We need to hurry this up.
What are nosegays? Nosegays are flowers, right?
I have no idea. I've never heard of
I'm going to say baby gays are like tiny floral scented cleaners. I don't know. I don't know what you would call
We're going to
it.
find out. After seeing his wife create a makeshift cotton swab by wrapping cotton balls around toothpicks to use on their baby, Leo Gertzenzang decided to mass-produce sterilized swabs. He formed the Leo Gertzenzang Infant Novelty Company in 1923 and named his leading product Baby Gaze, presumably for the joy that would bring to children who weren't being treated like pincushions by toothpicks-wielding mothers who would come at them with toothpicks. So in 1926, we'll just let Alan tell you, Gertzenzang altered the name from Baby Gaze to Q-tips.
I would have never in a million years
And the
guessed
Q stands for quality.
It's so handy having Q-tips round the house. You can do so much with Q-tips round the house. Your pets deserve loving care. Clean their ears, eyes, and paws with gentle Q-tips cotton swabs. It's so handy having Q-tips round the house. You can do so much with Q-tips for hygienic first aid. Sterilized Q-tips are the safe way to apply ointments and antiseptics to little cuts and scrapes right on the spot. And Q-tips have a soothing touch. They're soft as pussy willows. You can do so much with Q-tips for your baby. Q-tips were first made for babies and have been used by doctors, nurses, and mothers for over a quarter of a century. Now modern families find so many uses for Q-tips, they keep a box in every room. It's so handy having Q-tips round the house.
All right, this is another food object. I'll give you at least the what it is, and that way it'll help you. Its original name was the Aristocrat.
The Aristocrat.
Yeah, they called this food at a fast food chain the Aristocrat.
Fast food. The Aristocrat.
I'll give you that much.
So it's got to be like
The Aristocrat.
like a steak burger or something. The Aristocrat. I don't know, the Quarter Pounder.
Oh, you're the right restaurant, but the wrong one. The signature burger at McDonald's was concocted by local franchisee Jim Delegati, who arranged the 2 beef patties drenched in a secret sauce in Pittsburgh in 1967.
2 beef patties, less sauce.
McDonald's Big Mac. It's more than just another hamburger. There are 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, and onions on a sesame seed bun. 7 great ingredients working together to make one great taste. 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, cheese, lettuce, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. Get the idea?
2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun.
It's your McDonald's Big Mac. You've got to taste it to believe it, you know what I mean?
2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun.
2 all-beef patties.
Let me say a few words about McDonald's Big Mac. It's
2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun.
2 whole... Well, what was that word again?
2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun.
Lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, lettuce, cheese, pickles, oh, what am I saying?
You deserve a break today at McDonald's.
Where your dollar gets a break every day.
Yeah.
While Delegati developed a tasty burger, the early names for it, the Aristocrat and the Blue Ribbon Burger, it was also called that too, proved unpopular among corporate brass. An advertising executive named Esther Rose came up with Big Mac on the way to a production meeting. A colleague rejected it, believing the menu's McDouble meant they couldn't use another Mac burger product, but was overruled. The Big Mac rolled out nationally in 1968. It's remained a fixture of their menu ever since. Rose, incidentally, received no royalties for naming the burger, but the company did give her a nice plaque.
Oh, you know what's crazy?
How magnanimous of them.
It's McDonald's, right? Because it's MC. The number of people I know because of the Big Mac call it McDonald's.
Oh, I hear it there. Let's go to McDonald's.
I'm going to go to McDonald's. That's how
Sure.
I got the name the Big
Let's
Mac.
go to McDonald's.
Like, no, that would be the Big Mick.
All right. Oh my goodness, we're never going to get to all these, so let's choose some of the more interesting ones here. I don't know if Alan's going to get some of these. Oh, here's one. It was originally called the Pluto Platter when it came out. Pluto Platter.
Oh, I think you said this.
Exactly
Is this the
how
Frisbee?
I'm saying it. Whammo Novelty Toy Company
Yeah.
introduced a flying plastic disc
But
in
I think you mentioned that
1950s.
last week.
Yeah,
You
I
kinda
just
gave
used
me a
another
tease.
name for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The name from the inventor Walter Frederick Morrison, who originally considered calling it the Whirlaway, and the Flying Saucer with an N. Those are the other two names that were rejected. Within months, Whammo decided to rename it the Frisbee, though there's some debate over whether exactly what exactly that inspired that title.
I thought it was from a pie plate. That's what Michael J. Fox said.
One story has students of New England College tossing pie tins around from the Frisbee Baking Company of Bridgeport, Connecticut.
There you go.
Whammo President Richard Nurr said the name came from a comic strip called Mr. Frisbee. Either way, Morrison, who reaped royalties from the Frisbee sales, thought the new moniker was a terrible choice. I thought it was insane, he said. He told the New York Times. In 2007, he said that. I'm like, how could you rebuke it now?
Right.
Just go with it. It's done. So, come on.
Well, I think what he means is at the time, like, there's no way that was supposed to be the right name.
Right. Let's see if I can do this before we run out of time. Froffles. Do you know what Froffles were? F-R-O-F-F-L-E-S. Froffles were the original name. What did they turn into? Froffles.
Froffle. Well, it sounds like waffle.
Okay.
Is it a frozen waffle?
You're close. The Dorset brothers, Frank, Anthony, and Sam, were an inspiring bunch after coming up with the popular mayonnaise recipe in 1932, which they dubbed Eggo mayonnaise. After their egg-heavy ingredient list, the siblings
Eggo.
turned their attention to waffle batter. When that
Eggo.
became prohibitive to ship due to fear of spoilage, they created a dry mix, then decided to capitalize on the frozen food market by offering pre-cooked waffles they called Froffles, frozen waffles, beginning in 1953. The name didn't stick, though. Consumers preferred the Eggo label, and so the brothers changed the name in 1955. In 1972, new Eggo owners Kellogg's cemented the brand with the Lego My Eggo ad campaign. Unhand My Froffles didn't have the same ring to it. So there you go. Just a few items that went through some name changes over the years of things that we're
That's
used to
been it.
calling
I like that. That's cool.
That was kind of neat. Thanks to mentalfloss.com, the folks at Mental Floss. I may continue to do their amazing fact generator from time to time because there is some interesting things in there. So yeah, so it's BK on the air. We're ticking that to the top of the hour here. I don't have time to get to that next story. I'll save that for next week. But I want to remind everybody that I'm out there in social media. If you want to check out Facebook and Twitter, X Twitter. What is it? Is it called X now? Is that it?
I
keep
keep right
up
now.
on
I
these
keep
things.
telling people like Twitter. I mean X.
My app logo has a big X
It's
on it.
X.
So it's X. Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. I'm out there. You can check me out. And I have a SoundCloud page. I have a YouTube channel for the podcast. And I'm on Spotify. So check out those three locations if you want to check the podcast that I turn the radio show into. After I'm on the air, I take it and I run it through all these little, cute little tricks and things like that. So, yeah, so we'll take care of that and do that as we go along. So it's BK on the air. We're going to take we don't have a break, but we're
There's
coming
not
up
a
at the top of
break.
the hour.
Well, it is.
It's a long
It's very
break.
long.
BK on the air. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.